Good evening, and welcome to Lucas and Matthew's Science Fiction Sanctuary, where we discuss and analyze the science fiction cinema of past, present, and future. Today is the German masterpiece by director Fritz Lang. It is 1927's Metropolis!
The year is 3013. The galaxy is scintillating in the mellow light. Two galactic pilgrims seek out vistas in the samurai future to bring forth the unity of the cosmic shaman. Opening the door of the pantheon of mystics, the evil sorcerer-wizard powers the engine of science, seeking to forever alter the sacred balance, traveling on effervescent balls of summer fire.
In the year 1927, humanity imagined a dark future where enormous cities filled with vehicles are ruled over by a rich financial class while the working class toils beneath the ground. Thank God it's nothing like that.
No, we get to live in electromagnetic soup too.
Radiation everywhere.
Yeah, because they thought radiation was awesome in 27. You could get like barium health drinks.
Yeah.
There's one industrialist who's like, I drink 3 every day, and then he like died of cancer so hard by the mid 1930s that they had to put him in a lead-lined coffin.
Extraordinary.
I'm sorry, I don't remember the guy's name, but it is a thing. You can look it up. We're going to be a little classier than that today. Now that
I was going to say, let's start this podcast by mocking a dead man.
He did drink barium.
But also, anyone we mock today is going to be dead, because this is an old-ass film, so...
But we're not going to mock the people of this film much, I don't think. We're trying to get classy, man. This is 1927's Metropolis.
Is this the first science fiction film?
No.
Okay.
I would give that to George Méliès. I probably said it wrong, because I don't know French, but Trip to the Moon?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm talking feature length as well, because I know there were like some shorts and shit.
Feature length, huh.
There were some like Nickelodeon shorts and stuff.
Yeah. This might be the first...
I've heard it called that, but I don't know if that's just because it's the popular one.
I doubt there was a longer one than this one.
It definitely wasn't a longer one. It was a long film.
Yeah.
I thought that was a modern thing, but...
The way I came to it, though, the thing with this movie is it premiered, I think it was about 150 minutes in 1927. In
Germany, right?
Yeah. And got some raw reviews. And I actually did some research.
I did a little.
At that time, you were supposed to make 3 copies of the negative, which they did.
Right.
One was used to make the final cut. One was sent to America, where Paramount chopped it up to little bits, which was the one we saw for the most part. And then UFA, the German Film Commission, apparently made edits twice.
Huh.
And the one that we saw mostly until about the year 2000 was a 93-minute cut, which the Nazis made because they wanted to take out anything about communism.
Yeah, there will be a lot of talks, I suspect, of Nazis and communists in this. Because we're talking about a German film from the 1920s.
Yes.
So.
Of course, directed by Fritz Lang. How familiar are you with Fritz Lang?
I have seen Metropolis twice.
There you go.
That is my familiarity with Fritz Lang. I've read some interviews and stuff.
Okay, have you seen M?
No.
Okay, because Fritz Lang, he was invited to actually head the Nazi Film Commission because Hitler loved this movie.
Yep.
And once he was offered that film commission, he ran off to Hollywood.
Well, he said he almost quit films, right, when he saw that.
Yeah, but he that's when he decided it would be a good time to leave. I think he had a Jewish grandmother or something as well. So
Joe Balls also loved this film.
Right.
He said, "Oh, this is the film that will make the working class rise up like we want them to."
Yeah, that's why they invited Lang, because he was so much into this one. The screenwriter, Thea von Harbol, I believe. We're gonna kill some names today, probably.
Yes.
She was married to him in the 20s, so she wrote the novel.
I was going to say,
first.
is she the novelist as well, right?
Yeah, they came up with a scenario together. She wrote the novel.
Right.
And then they worked out the screenplay, which was subsequently ripped into little bits and pieces.
Okay.
So it's worth noting, for this, the story of this movie is quite incoherent for quite a long time. For example, hell is not in the movie at all.
Yes, because her name was too close to the word hell.
Yeah.
She was cut from the American version. So
Right.
she's a huge part of the motivation of the two lead men who drive this plot. So
The cut that I always saw, and I want to talk about that one a little bit more. Josaphat,
just fact, yeah.
the fired secretary of the
Joe Frater.
Yeah, and the freighter takes the machine, and the worker runs away. He's got a number. He doesn't have a name.
Right.
He keeps showing up in the movie, and he doesn't show up after that. And the cut that went around for years.
Oh, the Thin Man? Oh no, Josaphat doesn't show up after.
Joseph doesn't show up once he's
been
caught in the steps and says, "Don't you know what it feels like to be fired, or
Right,
what
yeah,
it
yeah.
means to be fired by your father?" He never shows up in the cut again. Whereas he shows up a lot in the actual movie.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, when he takes the clock machine thing from the worker, that worker never shows up again until he takes the bullet for Frater. So in the cut that I always saw, it's like suddenly one of the workers takes the bullet for him, but he looks like him for some reason.
Oh,
so
right.
it becomes completely
I
incomprehensible.
don't remember, even in this version, that was not like a huge plot.
It's not a huge part, but he runs off. He has the clothes. He
Yeah.
goes to the pleasure district of Yoshiwara,
Yeah.
and he comes back and saves Frater's life. So at least he has an arc where in the original cut he just kind of vanishes for the rest of the film until that one moment where he shows up again for no reason, looking
Okay.
completely different. So you wouldn't make the connection anyway.
Right.
The other thing I really want to hit on, and I will give you a moment for your thoughts too, is the music. The score is quite good. You know, it sounds like Wagner or whatever, or Tchaikovsky
Yeah, after I
stuff.
watched it, a couple of the tunes were in my head afterwards.
It's well done, but I got this movie. My dad bought it in the back of a Kmart in 1986. It was public domain for quite a long time, but one, it looked like it was just blurry and looked like it was on tissue paper. Like the whole thing looked like it was filmed on tissue paper. It was all sped up a little too much.
Right.
So it went around like this.
Yeah.
And the music, it was even more public domain than the movie. So the whole movie was dun 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 bum bum dun 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 dun. And that does it again. Sorry, I know that was long, but I remember it from 30 years ago.
Sounded like the battle music from a JRPG.
I know. And then it goes into like some dramatic, again, probably actual Wagner for a few minutes, and then goes back to this little tinkly piece. So that's how I saw this movie the first several times.
Before I watched it to record this podcast, I had seen it once, maybe more than once. My dad owned a VHS copy, but it was so long ago I can't remember what soundtrack he had. Very possibly he had that 80s redone version, which we will presumably talk about.
We'll talk about it a little more later, but that is Giorgio Moroder's
That's the guy.
1983 cut. It's color tinted. It's 83 minutes, but at the time was the most comprehensive one because...
It's shorter because they cut out the interstitials for subtitles, right?
And he sped up the footage a little bit.
Okay.
So, it's possible the cut I saw actually was his cut, just with the tints and music taken out and made more public domain. I don't know. I never saw that till last night, but I guess we'll get into that a little more later.
I assume you didn't watch all of it last night.
Oh God, no! I told you not to watch all of it.
I flicked through to some scenes that I remembered when I watched the original version. Some bits where it uses synths and stuff I actually really liked.
No, honestly,
But the bits where it had pop songs, what the fuck?
honestly, if you take the Moroder cut, one, there's no reason to watch it now because you can watch the 2010 restoration. I don't know if I gave you the 2002 or 2010 restoration, but both are pretty watchable.
Oh yeah, it seemed watchable to me.
But
So there were the scenes which had only recently been discovered. It would suddenly change aspect ratio and be a bit shit looking.
I think you had the 2010 one then.
Okay, cool.
But which is the most complete one. But the Moroder was if you say turn down the volume and put on a few nice, some groovy music that you want to hear, it might work. But yeah, man, Freddie Mercury and Loverboy probably don't go well with this movie.
Yeah, well, someone in the comments had put like the timestamp of the Freddie Mercury song, so of course I clicked on that.
Oh yeah.
But then other bits, it was just like 80s sci-fi synths, and they fit really well.
Yeah, but it did get the I think it got, is it the Golden Turkey? Which is the one they give to bad movies? Raspberries? What is it?
There's the Razzies, but yeah, I think
they gave. I think they gave it a Razzie.
Nice.
Not because of the movie, but because of the treatment of the movie. And Freddie Mercury's "Love Kills" was given the Golden Turkey's music, right?
Okay,
He
maybe
won the Golden Turkey that year.
Nice.
Okay, on to Metropolis. Unless you want to throw in another word.
I just want to throw in a little factoid I recently learned about the Razzies. When Halle Berry won a Razzie for Catwoman, she actually accepted it in person because she hated that film.
I'd show up for my Razzie.
Of course.
I'd be Brando, man. I wouldn't show up for my Oscar, but
You'd show up for your Razzie.
Yeah.
I told you before that my dream is to be offered a knighthood just so I can turn it down.
Well, Lennon gave back his MBE.
Nice.
But he never got Sir Paul's knighting, which he wouldn't have anyway, but...
Well, you say Sir Paul, but we all know Paul's dead.
Yeah. Well,
So
there's a guy
his
who...
stand-in got the knight. It's a posthumous knight.
Sir Denny Lane.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or one of those guys.
Gonna stop before we get into any more Beatles shit. The mediator between the head and the hands must be the heart. In the future city of Metropolis, the wealthy live in high-rise towers, while workers toil underground. Joe Frederson is the city's master. His son Freda lives a life of luxury in a pleasure garden, but is interrupted by the arrival of a young woman named Maria, who has brought a group of the workers' children to witness the lifestyle of their rich brothers. Maria is ushered away, but Freda goes to the lower levels to find her. On the machine levels, he witnesses the explosion of a huge machine that kills and injures numerous workers. Freda hurries to tell his father about the accident. Frederson asks his assistant, Josephat, why he learned of the explosion from his son, and not from him. Grot, foreman of the heart machine, brings Frederson secret maps found on the dead workers. Frederson again asks Josephat why he did not learn of the maps from him, and fires him. After seeing his father's cold indifference towards the harsh conditions they face, Freda secretly rebels against him by deciding to help the workers. He enlists Josephat's assistance and returns to the machine halls, where he trades places with a worker. Frederson takes the maps to the inventor Rotwang to learn their meaning. Rotwang had been in love with a woman named Hel, who left him to marry Frederson and later died giving birth to Freda. Rotwang shows Frederson a robot he has built to resurrect Hel. The maps show a network of catacombs beneath Metropolis, and the two men go to investigate. They eavesdrop on a gathering of workers, including Freda. Maria addresses them, prophesying the arrival of a mediator who can bring the working and ruling classes together. Freda believes he could fill the role and declares his love for Maria. Frederson orders Rotwang to give Maria's likeness to the robot, so that it can ruin her reputation among the workers to prevent any rebellion. Frederson is unaware that Rotwang plans to use the robot to kill Freda and take over Metropolis. Rotwang kidnaps Maria, transfers her likeness to the robot, and sends her to Frederson. Freda finds the two embracing and faints like a total drama queen. The false Maria unleashes chaos throughout Metropolis, driving men to murder and stirring dissent among the workers. The real Maria escapes from Rotwang's house and rescues the children, with Freda's and Josephat's help. Grot berates the celebrating workers for abandoning their children in the flooded city. Believing their children to be dead, the hysterical workers capture the false Maria and burn her at the stake. A horrified Freda watches, not understanding the deception until the fire reveals her to be a robot. Rotwang is delusional, seeing the real Maria as his lost Hel, and chases her to the roof of the cathedral, pursued by Freda. The two men fight as Frederson and the workers watch from the street. Rotwang falls to his death. Freda fulfills his role as mediator by linking the hands of Frederson and Grot to bring them together.
The thing people think about when they think about Metropolis is the style and design, and I guess we should get into that first, because that is extremely influential C-3PO.
Yeah. C-3PO, also literal modern cities. Like, outside of cinema, this was the... People took this as a blueprint to actually build the world. Like...
Well, I know Long... The story is he went to New York City and saw the skyscrapers at that time and extrapolated, and that's what he was doing here. He was trying to think, this is what New York looks like now, just grow that like
right, yeah, but like
dish.
The way he predicted the growth, like 5-lane freeways, aircraft like zip in and out of the buildings.
They don't zip in and out buildings.
Helicopters do.
Okay, helicopters.
I remember being on a skyscraper in Tokyo and looking down at airplanes and copters, and it freaked me the fuck out to be looking at aircraft from above.
Yeah, okay. I'm with
But
you on the
obviously,
comment.
you don't have like little biplanes nipping in between skyscrapers because that's insane. But
Rolling down the Tokyo freeways takes you much closer to Metropolis than rolling through an American city. You can tell me about England yourself, but...
we don't have anything close to like these kind of cities. London has a bit in the way of skyscrapers.
Yeah, that's what I asked, is what does London do? But, Atlanta, my hometown is Atlanta. I haven't been there for a while, but it's considered like a forest city. We have lots of trees, lots of sprawl. You must have a car in Atlanta. Metropolis seems a little more contained than that. You wouldn't own a car in Metropolis unless you're one of these elite living above all the other folks.
It did seem like a bad idea to own a car at all because those were some congested roads.
Yeah, exactly.
Until the plot needed someone to travel.
Well, it's a bad idea to own a car in Manhattan because
bad idea to own a car in 2019.
Oh, I should have mentioned in the last segment, but I think it was 2002. I worked at a summer camp in Pennsylvania, and for that restoration, it played at the big art cinema in Greenwich Village, and I made a trip to Manhattan just to watch it. I happen to know a place in Manhattan where I could park my car at the time. It may be different 15 years later, and I don't quite remember where it was, but I think it was just east and north of the village.
Okay.
So I go there, I park my car, I wouldn't pay in Manhattan. But anyway, nice. I made a specific trip to watch this movie, and I remember walking to the theater because I got my hair cut and looked down and like, that is Metropolis. I went and seen the movie, and even it was 2002 at the time. I'm sure it still holds today, but yeah, the metaphor was clear.
Yeah. This is not a subtle film.
No place to watch Metropolis like New York City.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, the new Tower of Babel is the Chrysler Building, right?
Well, the Chrysler Building went to a gym and lost some weight, but otherwise, sure.
Well, yeah, but... yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is literally from the Weimar Republic, right? This is impressionist filmmaking.
This is exactly the moment when you roll your barrel of your wheelbarrow of Deutschmarks to buy a loaf of bread.
Yeah. Well, because I remember I saw on Wikipedia, it's like, this film was made with a budget of 5 million Reichsmarks, and I was like, is that a lot of money though?
That's just a number, man.
Like, how many loaves of bread would that buy me?
Hey, maybe money among the elite and money among the proles that work in the underground city are quite different.
Oh, I would imagine so, right? But...
We'll get into that some more later, but let me just shout out Blade Runner.
Yeah.
If you put this first scenes of this film if you put the first scenes in Metropolis and then you put the first city scenes in Blade Runner, they look really similar.
The difference is, right, Metropolis, the underground and the overground are very distinct. Whereas Blade Runner, it's shit all the way from bottom to top.
Yeah. Yeah, even that nice office isn't so nice.
Right, and like there's the belching flames and there's the dirty streets all the way up, right?
Yeah. I guess the most recent overt city like this would maybe be the city in the Hunger Games.
I was going to say that, yeah. We need to do that film eventually, because you've not seen any Hunger Games, right?
I watched the first one until they leave the city, and then I got bored.
Yeah, we should definitely
But
do
I
that.
watched the city because it looked like Metropolis.
Right, very much so. And it was making the exact same unsubtle point, right, about the haves and have-nots, so...
The one design element in here that does get somewhat neglected is the occult magic aspect, which is...
Yeah, I was very surprised by that, having not seen it as a childhood. You think of the word Metropolis, you see the buildings, you see the robot.
It's all technology.
Yeah, but the big religious overtones, the imagery, the hallucinations.
But there's some religious overtones, but that is mostly from Frater's guilt, right?
Right, yeah. Oh, yeah, all of this stuff is within Frater's head, right?
But let's look at Rotwang, the man. So the religious imagery is Frater, but Rotwang, the man with the rotted wang, his is not religious. He is an alchemist, which used to be science. He's also a scientist. He's an alchemist and he's a scientist.
Has the big old pentagram on the wall and shit.
Yeah, it's like right behind the man machine, which should be a woman machine, but C-3PO is the man machine, right?
Right, yeah.
But anyway, there's this big inverted pentagram, the tip meeting right at the woman machine's head. It's like, oh, this is an unnatural thing.
Yes, yeah.
But that gets forgotten a lot with Metropolis. Oh, this is a technological vision of the future. But there is a lot of grit and grime and alchemy.
It was saying something about technology, I guess.
The head is technology. The heart is alchemy done well, maybe?
I don't know. No, but I mean, just specifically by using those occult images.
Yeah.
It was saying that about the unnaturalness of...
Should I think I need to define my statement, alchemy done well, a bit. When you do alchemy, what are you trying to do?
Turn lead into gold?
That's what we all think.
Convert matter, basically.
No, it's to convert yourself into your higher being. That is what I see the real goal of alchemy being.
Well, which is the goal of science, right?
Yeah, but you're
Science
turning
is just
yourself
more.
into gold, right?
Yeah.
Because what's gold? It's a metal. You throw it at someone, it's going to put a bruise or worse in their head.
Well, yeah, I mean, all value is artificial.
But Rotwang is definitely the lead into gold alchemist.
Yeah.
With the technological know-how. He is not trying to make himself a better person. He's a destroyed person.
Yeah, he's already pretty effed up at the start.
Yeah. And we'll talk about that some more. But just the amount of old style occultism, old style images there in this film, I think people forget about.
Well, yeah, his whole lab is bubbling like test tubes and stuff.
Oh, it's,
which I know is just how you did labs in those days.
Easily the equal of Dr. Frankenstein.
It's very Dr. Frankenstein.
This one's better.
It's a robot hand as well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people were doing robot hands in the fucking 20s.
Yeah, but they
That's
brought it back for
very
Doctor Strangelove in the 60s.
Luke Skywalker, right?
There's another one. Although
The Terminator.
Doctor Strangelove is overtly modeled after Rotwang.
Right. Now that you say it, I can very much see that. Right? Is he cinema's first mad scientist?
That's what I wrote in my notes, man.
Again, feature-length cinema. I'm sure there was like a 3-minute version of Frankenstein, but
let's go a little bit higher than Rotwang, altitude-wise, and look at the high levels of Metropolis, which is full of proto-Albert Speer Nazi architecture.
yeah.
Of course, it was not Nazi architecture when they made this film. This film is not responsible for Nazis. We're not saying that at all. But it did influence those guys.
Right, yeah.
You look at the, the 36 Olympics?
Mm-hmm.
They were Triumph of the Will.
Yeah.
They
were trying to capture this imagery, definitely.
Right, and they did, which does that taint this imagery? Fritz Lang, I don't think I don't think he had that in mind when he did this, but
Absolutely not. But
there is a pallor over this film as well.
I'm trying to think of a specific example, but like...
When you have... Just right at the beginning, you have all those dudes in their... I wrote the homoerotic Olympiad.
Oh, yeah. The shirtless white guys running.
That made me think of the 36 Olympics. And if I'm getting the year slightly wrong, sorry, but...
36 sounds right. Oh, so that maybe it sounds a bit late?
Anyway, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the design of this film is fantastic, but it's a little bit tainted. Other films have definitely eaten the bullet, where Birth of a Nation, which has the KKK as heroes. Triumph of the Will is actually considered to be one of the best documentaries ever made, but it wants to make Hitler look like your new Jesus. This film doesn't...
It depends whether you think a good documentary is one which reflects the truth or one which makes you think something.
This is on filmmaking aspects, not on
no, that's what I mean.
the message, right?
But I mean, what is the purpose of a documentary? Is the purpose of a documentary to project your view of the world, or is it to, as neutrally as possible, hold a mirror up to the world?
So this film...
If it's the former, then yeah, one of them. If it's the latter, one of the worst documentaries ever made.
Yeah, well, this film...
Sorry, I couldn't let you literally sit there and say Triumph of the Wills is the best documentary.
No, on a filmmaking level...
I knew what you meant,
generally...
but even so,
yeah.
I felt like that needed to be challenged by a voice on this podcast.
Yeah, okay, it probably did. Sorry, I took film class in university, and that's what they told me. It's terrible, but, it's made really well.
Yep.
And it is made well, but yeah, what it's showing you is completely reprehensible, which is what brings me back to Metropolis.
Yeah, 36 was the Olympics.
Okay.
Do you know how I looked that up?
Online?
I went to the football podcast that I've subscribed to, where they did an episode about the Peru-Austria game in that Olympics.
Okay, well that's one way there. Okay, the point coming up that this film obviously is not responsible for the things that follow it, and it influenced some fantastic stuff, Star Wars, Blade Runner, and every other sci-fi. But it does have this weird strain that we should at least look at.
Right, but think about present-day Nazis and the shit they love.
What do they love?
All the same geek stuff we love. That's why they get annoyed when they put women in those films now, right? So I don't think you can say that because the Nazis appreciated its artistic value, that makes it in any way problematic, right?
Right.
The Nazis liked it because it's good.
I think I
also, people who didn't kill 6 million Jews liked it. So, I don't think it takes it in any way.
Okay.
That it was then co-opted by this evil group.
I just want to talk about what happened to the filmmakers real quick. We mentioned a little bit already, but Fritz Lang.
Yes.
He impressed them so much they asked him to head up their film commission. He ran off to America, having recently divorced his wife, Thea von Hebro. I probably just said her name wrong, but he was cheating on her. He was a Mac daddy apparently. So she kept working for a while. She's the one that's sketchiest. She joined the Nazi Party.
Ooh.
The writer of the film did join the Nazi Party. Supposedly, her husband after Fritz Lang was Indian. Huh. And she claimed she joined the Nazi Party so she would have a handle to support the rights of Indian immigrants in Nazi Germany. That was her claim. It
is worth remembering that Oskar Schindler was a member of the Nazi Party.
Right.
Joining the party doesn't automatically make you a full-on... bad guy, right?
So I don't know if that was an excuse or a real reason, but that was her explanation. And she did marry an Indian immigrant after Fritz Lang.
Right.
And that's what she claimed. So maybe that is the case. And Bridget Helm, this is the most interesting. She was 21 when she made Metropolis. No, younger than that.
Wow.
Younger than that, because it took a few movies.
It took like 2 years to make, right?
Yeah, and so the release took a while. So I guess she was probably 19 when she started.
Wow.
She continued working for several years after that into the late 30s. Once Nazis had actually infiltrated...
She quit cinema, right?
She quit cinema. She moved away and refused to talk about Metropolis ever again.
Yeah. Briefly touch on the thing which we both said. I think I've got a crush on a woman who was 84 when I was born.
Yeah. She is quite... I mean, she stands out on screen. When you think silent film actress, this may be the first image that comes to mind.
I couldn't take my eyes off her in every single scene she was in, which is insane.
And if you started to take your eyes off her, she'd grab her tit. That was a weird choice.
She does a lot of tit grabbing. But the dudes also do, like, heart grabbing, right?
Yeah,
That's what she was going for. but just when our hand gets there, there's something squishy to grab.
Yeah,
So
Robo Maria actually does much less tick grabbing, so I wonder if that was a choice.
it was when we got to Robo Maria that I really started to love Bridget Hell.
It's the eyes.
It's everything, though.
Those wild eyes, you're like, man, I shouldn't get near you, but I want to.
Yeah, which is what the film tells us that's how dudes react to her, right? But she does that. Like, she seems both insane, terrifying, and incredible all at once.
Yeah, that's dating crazy. The initial reviews for this film went all over the place. It's now considered to be a masterpiece, but the initial reviews, some people really hated it. And but she usually came out clean. People would be like, the actor sucked, but she was great.
Even the director said that he thought it was naive.
In a way, but sometimes you do need to tell a myth.
Well, I haven't done as much research as you. I literally read the Wikipedia page.
That's pretty much what I did.
But,
I've done lots of research like years ago too.
Yeah. The big complaint is the film's lack of subtlety, right? But we talked about last week, sometimes you need a lack of subtlety.
And a lot of the extra footage you can get in this restores some subtlety. Like, people have been watching Metropolis, like, in Cliff Notes form.
I'm literally talking when it was released.
Okay.
Reviews.
Like, you're talking fullest cut we can watch now.
Yeah.
Still
maybe, though. They were probably still watching the English language, slightly shorter cut.
Okay. So, you want to get into the themes?
I want to go for a piss. So let's do that after a break.
Piss and themes.
I'm going to piss on some themes.
We're going to talk about if this movie has any kind of theme to tell you. The mediator must be between the heart and the hands of the heart, whatever. I didn't say that.
That came out wrong.
I'll say it right a little bit later, but first you're going to tell us about money.
Okay, this film was produced for a budget. A budget?
A
Bridget
budget.
Jones's Diary. A budget of 5 million Reichsmarks. Me and Matt were a little confused because this film was made in 1925, 26, and released in 27. And the Reichsmark, obviously, Third Reich, makes you think of Nazi Germany. But, so the Reichsmark was the official currency of Germany from 1924 until 1948, when it was replaced by the Deutschmark. But the reason it's called the Reichsmark is because the actual name for the country, the German nation state from 1871 to 1945, was Deutsches Reich. So I think Reich just means empire, right?
Yeah.
So the country was called the German Empire.
That's what
And
the
these
Third
are-
Reich was anyway. It's the Third Empire.
Right, yeah.
The Romans
But-
were the first. The second, I guess, was earlier Germany?
I guess. Yeah, but we think of... It wasn't until Nazis they started thinking about themselves as an empire again, right?
Right.
But they already kind of did. Because Germany's quite a young nation, I think.
Yeah.
It was formed from, city-states.
It was like the 1860s, I think.
Yeah.
So First Reich is Roman, Second Reich is that.
Yeah. And I guess the Third Reich was, now we take over the rest of the world.
Right. And
But
the
yeah.
and the Fourth Reich is the Bushes and the Queen.
You mean the lizards?
Okay, so the themes. The theme. You're finished with your money, right?
I guess. I don't know why I care.
He really cares. We start recording.
I just like... Okay, the reason I care is because I thought I was right and I found out I was wrong, and I have to make sure I'm right in future.
Right. That's why we research things, even
Yeah.
if people tell us certain things.
At least we did, right?
we did. So
we did just go, oh, Wikipedia's wrong because the Reichsmark was the fucking Nazis, isn't it?
Could be wrong. We don't know. It's just a
No,
site on the
Wikipedia
internet.
always speaks the truth. No, don't let me think about how much Wikipedia might be wrong, because I get a lot of my facts from there, right?
We're
Like
gonna
we all
say-
do now.
We all do.
Man, imagine if Wikipedia turned out to be evil.
It probably is. But
Because it's like not for profit, right?
if it doesn't really matter, it might be right. Like if you look up UFO material, who knows what you'll get on Wikipedia, right?
Yeah.
If you're looking at Metropolis, I think we're probably going to find some reasonably accurate
Right.
information.
Do you know what the last thing I looked up on Wikipedia was before today?
What is that?
Azerbaijan.
That's a country?
Yeah. Do you know why I looked it up?
Why?
Right, so at work, we were doing a lesson demo with Matty, our other American teacher.
And he's only Maddie because I'm Matt.
Yeah, I know. We had two Matts and we forced him to be Matty so they wouldn't have the same name.
I said I changed my name like Zoltan or something, but...
I wish they'd let you, man. With all my heart. Right, but anyway, we were doing a lesson and he was doing... It was meant to be, he was practicing for like an ET1 lesson. Which
That's first graders.
Yeah, the first grade of elementary school. And this is their second language. And he was practicing the question like, how many da-da-da-da? And his example was, how many Africas? Because there happened to be a map of the world up in the room. And we were like, mate, that's a bit difficult. But then it was our turn as the fake students to ask him how many's, right? So I go, Matty, how many Azerbaijans? And do you know what his reply was?
What's that?
English, please.
Well, I guess the country name's not technically English.
No, but it is, right? It's the English name for that country.
Does it have a different name?
I don't know, but like,
You look
the
at the
English name
page.
for Japan is Japan, right?
Right.
What's the Japanese name for Japan?
Nihon.
Exactly, right? So it's an English word. But then he's like, me and Andrew like both laughed at him. He's like, yeah, well, you know, it doesn't matter. It's not. And we were like, I was like, ooh, ooh. And he's like, okay, fine. If it's important, give me one historical fact about Azerbaijan. I was like,
It used to be a Soviet state, right?
oh, I mean, I know now because I went and looked it up. So
I
this
knew
would
that.
never
I could have
happen
answered
again.
that straight away.
Oh, I wish you'd been. Rob also knew one. I wish either of you had been in the room because me and Andrew were like, yeah, we just know that it's called Azerbaijan. And Andrew knew where it was.
Mm.
Have you ever tested Andrew on his knowledge of like geography?
He went to Moscow.
No,
I might-
Andrew can draw a fucking map of the world from memory.
I can do that.
No, but where every country is.
Oh, okay.
It's like, I've been in many a pub quiz, and there were more than a few I'd wished Andrew was there. Like,
For geography question.
for geography and soccer. And that's it. He likes what he likes.
That's why he's not on this podcast. Unless we get to like I don't know. Is Ben like Beckham a sci-fi movie?
I'm gonna go out my way now to find a sci-fi soccer movie just so we can have Andrew on. No, but because I love talking to Andrew about films because he enjoys them at such a surface level, and I know that I overthink things, right?
Mm.
So I watched like me and him purely coincidentally watched the same showing of Hobbs and Shaw, the new Fast and Furious film. I didn't notice till after the film. I came out, oh, it's Andrew, and like I'm out of that film like, oh, this film had some like themes about transhumanism. And he's like, they punched each other and there was explosions.
Okay, anyway, if we can't find it, send us your recommendations for a soccer or football, not being American football related film.
If you really can't think of one, explicitly sports-based sci-fi films might do it, but soccer is the best.
Okay.
Because it's, the only good sport.
I think
Fuck the NFL.
Sure.
I mean, I watched, like, all through my teens and my 20s, I would watch the Super Bowl every year. Because, the spectacle and everything. And we'd have beer and chicken wings, and we'd all wear our most American clothes. And every year we'd be like, oh, you know what we should do? This year we should actually watch the NFL. So when we get to next year's Super Bowl, we're into it. And we
No.
didn't do that. Because watching American football is fucking boring!
Yeah, I'd always have a party like where we didn't watch the Super Bowl and did something else. But sorry, let me put that lasso in.
If you
Metropolis lasso.
were on Twitter, you'd be one of those guys who's like, oh, it's the superb owl again.
Metropolis lasso. Metropolis
The
lasso.
only thing more boring than people going on about sports is people going on about how they don't care about sports. Okay, I think I've got all this shit off my chest.
That's cool.
Did I get to the punchline of my story?
I don't think so.
Oh, right, yeah, I looked up Azerbaijan because I needed to have facts in case anyone asked me again. It's a really young nation. It was like formed and then 2 years later was taken over by the Soviet Union. But like it's the first and I think still only secular Muslim state.
Ah.
It has a predominantly Muslim population, but is a secular in terms of how its constitution is written. And so it's kind of one of the leading lights in that regard. But I think it's done some like huge human rights abuses.
You wanna
But
know,
so is literally every government. So,
you wanna know what's going through my head?
Is it like in
Let me just
is it like in Charlie Brown?
No.
When the adults speak and you just hear mwah, 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 mwah.
No, I listened to you. What it reminds you of is the time that Homer Simpson learned about Thomas Edison. I had to tell everyone every fact about Thomas Edison.
Was this relevant? Because I mentioned Wikipedia and now
Yes.
I've gone off on one.
That's why I'm trying to bring the Metropolis Lasso.
This is going to be our longest episode ever as well.
Yeah.
It's fine, because this is a long-ass fucking
Okay,
film.
let me try and say it right this time, okay? The mediator between the head and the hands is the heart.
I think it's a good message.
It is. That's the message of, like, yoga, I think.
You know what else that's the message of?
What?
War of the Worlds.
Which one?
The original novel.
H.G. Wells. Okay.
The concept is that the Martians have evolved to the point where they are literally a brain, and they build bodies to their need. That's why they look like octopuses, right?
Right.
Because they are a brain and a hand. They are a mind and the tentacles that manipulate things, and they build bodies to their means. But they are remorseless, emotionless killing machines, because they have no heart anymore.
Ah.
And H.G. Wells did not like Metropolis. He described it as, and I quote, silly.
Well, that's the thing that people didn't. It's a little silly. It's a little ham-fisted, but the message, I mean, it makes sense. It's not, like you said, maybe it's a little naive, but it works.
I've made the argument in the past. I don't think anything is a masterpiece if it's appreciated in its own time.
Okay. This certainly wasn't.
Right, but like, think of masterpieces.
Okay, Citizen Kane didn't do so well.
But I mean, even outside of film, right?
Is the original Star Wars a masterpiece?
Yes.
Sgt. Pepper's is pretty good.
Right. Bohemian Rhapsody.
That
Do you
did
remember-
well when it came out, didn't
No,
it?
but do you remember the reviews? In,
No.
the film. What's the film called?
Bohemian Rhapsody.
All right. Well, there's a reason I got confused then. It's because the musical is called We Will Rock You, and I couldn't remember which one was which. But no, when they first bring out the song, the film flashes up on the screen all the shit reviews. Right?
Yeah.
Because a true masterpiece doesn't just like you can be phenomenal, you can be great, you can be perfect within the zeitgeist that already exists, right? But a masterpiece pushes the zeitgeist. It's what's the word? It's an antithesis. A thesis cannot be a masterpiece.
It riles you up a bit.
Right, because it pushes. It's something new. I'm not necessarily saying this is what I believe, but 2017, right? I'm a big video gamer. Matt has kind of put those days behind him. I say I'm a big gamer. I'm a Nintendo gamer. I fucking love Nintendo. And the Nintendo Switch had two of the best games ever made in its first year. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey. Breath of the Wild completely tore up the rulebook on what a Zelda game was. To the point that I know many Zelda fans who hate it. I think it's the best game ever made. It's my favourite game ever made and blah 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 blah. But other people hated it. I think the mainstream opinion is that it was good. Right, but it did something new. It pushed the boundaries, it broke the rules, and it made enemies.
We'll get back to this with Last Jedi.
Super Mario Odyssey was like perfect in every way, but it was a Mario game. It was Mario 64 made today,
Right.
and I loved it. I loved every second of it. But I put down the controller, I finished it, and I stopped thinking about it.
Both of those games, though, had precedents, whereas this movie really didn't have one.
Right, but this movie's precedent was cinematography and sci-fi, right?
Yeah.
Have you played Breath of the Wild?
One more time?
Have you played Breath of the Wild, the new Zelda?
Oh, no. I haven't played Zelda since the DS.
Right, it is unlike any Zelda other than maybe Zelda 1.
I
Like,
Zelda 1.
it rips up. It, like, obviously, like, Metropolis didn't not have precedents, right? But it pushed the boundaries, it broke the rules. If Metropolis didn't have any precedents, then, like, it wouldn't film actors in front of a camera and have a script and have a plot and blah, 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 right? Obviously, there are some things I'm not saying it has to be completely brand new, it has to be the first film ever. I'm just saying it has to push boundaries and break rules and upset people.
So the precedence I'm seeing here is German Expressionism, which sometimes this film is almost clumped in with. It has a lot of that.
I've
deep
heard
shadows.
it described as a press
It's really not.
but also it does have the scenes where it uses imagery to express the themes.
Right.
Like there is stuff in front of the camera in this film which is not explicitly happening within the universe of this film.
Oh, right, like Frater's LSD dreams.
Well,
or
basically
whatever.
they're all Frater themes. But that is kind of expressionist.
Most of the expressionism, I think, is in Rotwang's house when he's chasing around Maria. Like, that is, weird angles and deep shadow. But, what Metropolis...
Batman villains.
Yeah, Metropolis' actual stock is in that weird futurism, which, does have an influence of German expressionism, but it isn't really quite the same thing. If you want that, you should go watch the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari or something.
Oh. Wait, no, I'm getting confused with the Island of Dr. Moreau.
You are. And it's
I was
just,
about to say, is that the first sci-fi?
it's not sci-fi.
Right, that's why this is the first science fiction film and not just another expressionist film, right?
Right.
Because although it uses some of those themes and ideas and tools, what it's doing is different and new and unique
Yes.
and worth discussion. Which is why we're already this fucking long into a podcast.
So we went off on some tangents there, which I didn't edit. What do you want to say about Metropolis?
Yes, So, the criticism of this film, right, is that it was unsubtle in its message that the 1% rule in their ivory towers while the worker, strives for them underneath. Which in, the 1920s and 30s in mainland Europe was... You don't want to be subtle with that message, right? It was super relevant.
You just brought up
Has it become less relevant?
Well, you just mentioned the 1%, right? And they didn't mention the 1% this movie.
Of course, right.
They mentioned the 10,000 who live in the above city. I
Well,
think
it's 10,000 times 100, right? So
something like that. Anyway, it was
no, don't even say 100,000.
100,000 the above city.
No, sorry, no. I'm trying to do maths out loud because it's an audio podcast. So, 10,000 times 10, 100,000 times 10 again, 1 billion.
1 million.
Yes. So that's not the 1%. That's the 1% of 1 million.
Okay. Right, that's okay, so it is 1%, but they're living in the above city.
No, but it's 1% of a million. Oh, right. If it's just a city.
It's a city.
So 1% of a city of a population of 1 million.
And in the 20s, you would assume your city maybe has 1 million.
Yeah.
So 10,000 or whatever. Anyway, they don't actually bring in the phrase 1%, but it's very clear that the people living in
Well,
Ariel's...
of course, I'm looking at it through a lens of the year 2019.
Living in Ariel's magical garden and running through the Olympic stadium. This is the very few. Most of the people are living in these kind of boxy-looking large apartments, as people do these days, as we're recording the podcast.
Yeah. We're recording this podcast in like a 6x2 cuboid, so...
But, obviously that does resonate pretty loudly today.
More
Unless
or
you're gonna
less so than when it came out.
I'm going to say more so.
I mean, because obviously, like, around the time of this film's release, the Russian Revolution had just happened.
10 years earlier.
That's pretty just happened.
It's
in the grand scheme
relatively
of things.
recent, of course.
World War II was about to happen 10 years later.
Right. It's
So,
a
I mean-
weird time in Germany.
It's a weird time on Earth, right?
Now is too.
But that was the time when we called World War One the war to end all wars, right?
Right. The Great War.
Because the big joke is
What's
like...
great about a war?
I saw memes where it's like, wars not make one great. I see memes where it's like, Wonder Woman. Oh yeah, I fought in the Great War. Oh, you mean World War One? World War what? At that point in time, the concept of a World War Two was insane, ludicrous, right?
Right.
And now, world wars are like Terminator films. The one only exists to set up two, right? Like,
So is the goal here to predict the future or to warn about the future? Because
Well, the film ends on an optimistic
that's my
tone.
point. We end on this optimistic note, right? So that would make you think, oh, he's just telling us about the future. But, I mean, that could go south the next day.
Well, yeah, also, like, the start of the film is a very dark future.
Yes.
So it's warning us about a possible future, but then saying, but there's hope.
If you give the Worker City Netflix there, are they going to be cool?
Probably. Netflix and chill and toil for the man.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, by the way, I did note, most days I show up for work, I do show up looking like a underground worker, except for the hat.
you were dressed pretty colourfully.
I got my dark blue.
Sometimes, but
Sometimes.
of anyone at work, you dress the most luridly.
It's the ties, but the Metropolis...
Yeah, but the
workers don't
shirts
have
as well.
ties. Yeah, okay.
Because I've been thinking about getting like some matte style shirts, but I feel like I'd be stealing your steeds, right? So I just wear very bright primary colours instead.
Yeah.
I like my greens and my pinks.
Anyway, these guys are pretty drab.
Right, but like, we've worked in jobs where we have to wear a shit uniform. Like, that's not unrealistic.
And if you've seen this movie, the image of them kind of tromping through through the gates goes through your mind.
Any company where I've had a clock and in machine, it is exactly like this movie, right?
Father, will 10 hours never end? Sounds like me on a Saturday. And it's also a quote from this movie.
Yeah, it goes back to, do you remember we were talking about Logan's Run?
Yeah.
And you were like, in the novel, the joke is they work like these 3 hour days and it seems over too much.
Twice a week.
Right. But no, so when I first came to Japan, I spent 3 months just like traveling. And then I got a job at a hostel for 2 months where my shift was like 3 hours a day, 3 times a week. And it felt like too much.
How can I explore with this onus on me?
Right. I know. And I spent those months like barely going on all my adventures, just like, just sit at home and play video games, I got to work. Like, now I work an actual full-time. Well, not even. Compared, like, a full-time Japanese job is insane, right?
Yeah.
Like, we are well
full-time
insulated
plus.
from what the Japanese employees do.
Yeah, that's full-time, all access.
Yeah. But yeah, like, it isn't... You know how you invited some scorn from fuckers on the internet?
I didn't invite that, did
No,
I?
in previous episodes.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, I'm about to take all the heat. It is not the natural state of the human being to give 30 to 40% of your waking hours to someone else's profit. The workers should rise up. Communism was right.
So
Also, automation is a good thing.
So what's your opinion of Frieder's son, who is the father?
Frida Sonnen's a punk-ass bitch! Maria should have done it without him.
That's the father, right? I'm
Oh!
I'm talking about Dad, the guy that runs the
Right.
city.
Just to go down to something...
Yeah, Frieder is a
really
punk ass
fucking
bitch.
dumb that the father is called Frida's son.
That's what I was getting
The
at.
son is called Frida.
Yeah, I tried to glide you in, and
But
you didn't catch
I
me.
actually got caught off guard by it because it's so fucking dumb.
I did get confused writing my notes. I'm like, am I giving him the right name?
It's Friederson's son. Like, what?
The grandfather is Frieder, and then
No,
Frieder, the son.
Frida, Friederson's son.
Okay, anyway, I'm trying to talk about the lead
Frederson.
architect.
Right, yeah, Andrew
try-
Ryan.
Yeah. I mean, I thought you called him a punk ass bitch, which is also fine.
No,
but you wanna
he's
go-
just a straight up cunt.
But he is the villain that is absolutely sure that what he's doing is right.
Right, like all capitalists.
Do
Who
they?
are villains.
Okay.
They are villains. That is the official message of this podcast.
But he seems sure that he's doing the things that are right. Where I don't know. I feel like in the real world, some of the capitalists probably know they're not doing.
But
the right
most
thing.
of them are like, oh, what is right? The bottom line goes up.
So maybe is Metropolis a city run by corporation? Is that what we're looking at?
It seems to be.
Yeah.
Like, as a city which was built and is run by a corporation, right?
So is that a warning? Is that the warning that this movie is actually trying to make, or that we're just taking from it now because we want to?
Who the fuck knows, right?
Well, of course, but
it seems to be, right?
Yeah.
Because it slaps you around the face with it.
I mean, there's no... Not that voting probably does any good anyway, but there's no hint of rule by the people or rule of of democracy
Right, well-
or anything.
Like, there could be, right? Because it posits a world somewhat like the one we live in. It doesn't really matter who the elected officials are, because
They're bought and paid
having
for.
a lot of money is more powerful than having power anyway.
But let me go into the weird vision. The people that we see in power are the people that are bought and paid for, and the people who are in power are the people that have the money and want their privacy.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean,
I guess I'm trying to place Friedrichs in that continuum.
to make a point which you yourself made, right? Bernie won the argument even though Hillary won the election.
But then
The
Bernie
existing
supported
power
Hillary.
is... Oh yeah, because you have to at that point.
Why? Why do you have
You
to?
don't. You don't. Because the opposition was Trump.
But I could say with Trump, the opposition was Hillary, like with both of them.
Yeah, but Hillary wasn't going to put any Mexicans in camps, man.
Are you
Like-
sure? Maybe she'd just be a lot more
No,
quiet
she
about
would have
it.
put Muslims in camps instead.
Obama put Mexicans in camps. Bush
well,
Jr.
this-
put Mexicans in camps.
I suppose-
Clinton put Mexicans in camps. They all did.
Hillary, well, me and my girlfriend have had this argument, and I feel like, I guess Bernie was just on her side of this specific argument. Is it better to have someone who deliberately does evil things and is intelligent, or someone who does evil things because they're a fucking idiot?
I would say it's more about transparency.
Oh, yes.
Do I see what you're
but
doing?
in this specific argument, assuming there is no transparency, and you were the only one who knows, right? Your choice is someone who is explicitly evil and deliberately and intelligently does evil things.
Friederson.
I'm thinking like
I'm just trying
Boris
to
Johnson.
I'm just that too, but I'm just trying to paint into our film as
Or
well.
someone who does evil things because they're a fucking idiot and doesn't realise.
That's Rotwang.
Right. But in your head, which would you choose?
Rotwang's pad is pretty cool.
No, but just based
No,
on
that's
what
right,
I
yeah.
just told you, right? Trump or Hillary?
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna go with the idiot, actually.
Me too, right?
Yeah, okay.
Because I feel like maybe he can come around, right?
You make
if you
able
make
to
him
convince
understand that
them.
he's done a bad thing.
Yeah.
Whereas like Boris Johnson, the British elite, right? These fucking lizard people.
I assumed he was an idiot. Is he?
Oh no, that's a crafted persona.
He
But, like,
obviously not with his haircut.
no, he has though. That's the thing, right?
Okay.
He's crafted this persona of an idiot who didn't craft his persona. But like, I mean, Trump has done some fucking dreadful things, right? But I don't think he understands that he has.
Right.
Like, I mean, the easiest argument you can make: he didn't want to be president.
No.
He wanted an election to raise his profile.
And start a new reality show,
He
probably.
didn't want a day job. Right? Whereas Clinton explicitly wanted to become president, to have this power, and to bomb Israeli children.
I heard something of Trump.
No, Israeli. He wanted to bomb the children that the Israelis were bombing.
Yeah, and start some open air slave trade in Libya, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And, fund some Saudi Arabian
Yeah.
terrorists.
Meanwhile, Trump apparently was pissed off that they made fun of him at like the press dinner, and I'll show them I'll become president.
Right.
I guess he showed them.
But yeah, that's the thing. Like, how did we get down to this? Right, so the thing is, so Frederson actively and intelligently, how did we get onto this?
Well, no, you're
Right,
on
we're
the
on
point.
Bernie, right.
Yeah.
So Bernie chose that he thinks it's better to have someone who knows what they're doing than an idiot. Which is a valid decision. That's the decision my girlfriend makes. Whereas me and you probably would have been like, Trump's better than Hillary. I don't want either of them.
You know what I did in 2016? I
Abstained,
very
right?
much on purpose did not vote.
I think 2016 Luke would have voted Hillary.
If
the
I
whole-
voted, I would have, but I'm glad I didn't.
Right. Maybe 2019 Luke would have voted Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, I would have done that, but I lived in Japan, so it
It's a
actually
pain in the
involved me
ass,
like, yeah, it was a pain in the ass. If
No, I have one because I used to live in Somerset. I literally grew up in the city where Hot Fuzz was filmed, and it's like that.
Yeah.
So our choice was between the fucking conservative asshole or the slightly less conservative asshole. So I have in the past put in a vote for Donald Duck. Because Donald Duck's better than Mickey, right?
Yeah. So I'm just wondering. In the world of Metropolis, if Frederson is the ruler that people know about, or the guy behind the curtains.
Right, he's
have
behind the
curtains.
curtains, right?
He does have some curtains in his place. Does Metropolis have a facade of democracy?
I think Frederson is a guy behind the curtains. Metropolis has a Hillary.
and we just don't see them.
Right, because
they don't matter.
They don't matter, right? In the same way that Hillary didn't matter. Obama
Yeah.
didn't matter.
Trump doesn't matter.
No, but Trump scared a lot of people because he implied that he could matter.
We at least pissed in the punch bowl.
But before that...
He did piss in it.
Before he was the president, he was a Fredersen, right? He's put a lot of money into these politicians.
No, I think...
he's not actually...
I think he would have been like... owned a large... He would have owned the Yoshiwara district.
Yeah, he's not a Fredersen. He likes to think he is, but he's not, right?
He's the guy that owned Yoshiwara.
The funny thing about Trump, when you complain about the rich, he's not that rich.
Yeah. Fredersen, we don't know because he hangs out behind the curtains, which are actually prominently displayed when we first see him.
Yeah, he's like... I can't remember the names of any of the rich cunts who rule the world. Epstein?
He's dead. Maybe.
He's dead, but he did not kill himself. It was deliberate. It was the government. Read some facts.
Or maybe he's not dead.
I'm pretty sure he's dead.
What if he did his service? Because
Oh, okay. If he was...
that was his out.
Yeah.
Anyway, the whole point is
He didn't kill himself. That's
the
thing we're getting
narrative.
at.
Or what if he was forced to kill himself and he did? You gotta do it, or we'll shoot you.
You've been living in Japan too long.
I guess I have. I guess people outside Japan wouldn't buy that one.
I don't think he committed...
But yeah, that stuff goes on with Metropolis. Josephat, that's Epstein.
Yeah.
He's sent off, which is basically, it's. I mentioned, is this the same world as 1984? Once Josephat, Fredersen's secretary, is dismissed for not being good enough, it's like, how soon till that guy takes a bull in the back of his head?
Well, I think what they were implying is that you are a man held in high esteem, so when you dismiss someone, he's not going to get a job anywhere else.
But that man that was dismissed may have actually been the public figure for all we know.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're not explicitly told his job title or anything, right?
No, I don't think so.
So he could have, he was like the company president. Is he the president of this? Is he the mayor?
Or is he the company president of the city?
Is there a difference?
Okay, I can't promise we won't go on more weird tangents, but I do want to get just push out a few things from the film. Square dancing.
Was there square dancing?
When they're burning or flooding the city or whatever they're doing, all the workers are so happy they start. It's not real square dancing.
Yeah, it's so weird. Where they all join hands?
It's
like
just
a big
dancing
conga?
around in circles. I'm like, what the hell is that?
I mean, if you've been to a good old-fashioned witch burning, that's probably what they get up to.
I guess. And the old-fashioned witch burning is notable too because Fredersen, the senior Freder,
Yeah.
he is constructing a false flag here. He sees, the workers are actually getting, the withdrawal to rise up, so he replaces Maria as basically a false flag.
Very explicitly his plan, right?
That's explicitly his plan, which is the same way that the U.S. got into Vietnam. The Gulf of Tonkin didn't really happen and was admiraled by Jim Morrison's dad. A similar thing there.
That's the same way Japan got into their war with China.
What was that?
They faked bombing on a train or something like that.
Is that how you get consent to do?
Yeah, fucking Hitler did it.
Yeah, Hitler Reichstag fire.
No, but even in World War II, he created a fake attack by the Polish before he invaded Poland.
Okay, because he got into. Oh, he did that. Yes,
Yeah, even when you are like,
because he had a bunch of German officers shot, right?
Even when you are the fucking biggest dictator asshole in the world, you still create a false pretense before you go to war.
Right. And that's how he got in. Reichstag fire, the Gulf of Tonkin. I don't want to move forward in history past that, to be honest, because I don't want to get too...
It's unnecessary, right? But...
they happen, and this film tells you very clearly that happens, because he very clearly sets it up.
Right, but, I mean, before this film, were people talking about that?
No, of course not. Oh, maybe they were.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't read a lot. What have I read? What have I seen and or read earlier than this film? I've read Dracula. I've read Frankenstein.
Okay, I will tell you a book from 1927. I'm not going to get into it much now, but anyone listening and you, look at Edward Bernay's book Propaganda.
Propaganda. Okay.
The title. I actually read it a few months ago. And
What's it about?
I don't remember. No, he spells out all
What
this
does he take a propaganda at?
How to manipulate the public mind, obviously. But yeah, Freder is clearly doing that in this movie. Okay, so we get...
I've read Machiavelli. I've read Sun Tzu.
I'd say Bernays is kind of like a somewhat more modern Machiavelli.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something, and
But I mean, in terms of like pop culture,
well, that's my point. Bernays, what he's talking about is much more in line with what happens in pop culture these days,
Right.
than say Machiavelli. That's doesn't really.
yeah.
quite
But what
fit
I mean
into
is
that.
like when Metropolis came out, within pop culture, were people talking about false flags, faking it to start a war?
I don't know. Who knows? I mean, we always assume people like 100 years ago, 5,000 years ago were dumber than us, but they probably weren't.
No. I mean, maybe like technology, science, shit like that.
Right.
They were less aware than us.
They might have been more aware. They just might have not been as
Maybe.
techie. I mean,
Right.
maybe they could see this stuff right on the wall, you know?
No, I mean, like, there are technical things I can do which they couldn't do because I have knowledge. But that doesn't mean they were less smart. That's why IQ tests are bullshit, right? Because they test your knowledge based on a cultural version of what knowledge is.
I tested pretty well on that, though.
Yeah, me too.
But yes, I agree, it's bullshit. It is nice to have a nice score, though.
I know.
But it's still bullshit. Babylon.
Babylon 5?
No,
covering that
Babylon.
today?
The Horror of Babylon. Sarah Mathis, Moloch, who gets the most awesome...
That was because I was watching this film like, and I got the Moloch bit. I was like, "What the fuck is happening now? Hello!"
and those are good effects. Holy shit!
Yeah, chomping people up. Also, that imagery.
Express yourself.
No, but I mean,
hey.
the prisoners being led to the thing and chucked in, right?
That's all Babylon, man.
No, but that Germany did that like 10 years later.
The Nazis did like this film for better or for worse.
Right, but like,
Did they get the right message? No. but
like, that's weird that this imagery existed before, that shit went on. that was just a moment I was like, wait, when was this made? Wait, what?
That's
just a
because
weirdness to
that's
it.
the thing. This pattern goes back all the way there.
Yeah. Obviously,
it's not. It's
the
you know,
cultural touchstone for us in the White West and Japan, but culturally within the White West is Nazi Germany was the only extermination that happened. It wasn't.
No,
Like,
meet the new boss, same as the old boss, right?
Right, yeah,
You can put them you can paint them in particularly bad colors if you want, but
but to see in a film that imagery used before, where my mind thinks that imagery comes from, just reminded me that's not where it started or where it ended.
No, I mean, how many deaths do you need to be indirectly responsible for before you're reprehensible? 1? 100? 1,000? Where's the line?
What's the Stalin quote? One death is a tragedy, a million is a number.
Exactly. Who feeds their blood to their machines? The stone cutters. That's not the right melody, but that went through my mind.
We do.
There we go. You know the song. See,
Stone cutters, my friend.
Anyway, yeah, that went through my mind watching all the various. This movie has cabals on both sides when you get right down to it.
Who keeps the Martians under wraps? We do.
No Martians in Metropolis, or they kept them under wraps that well. We have been going on. Do you want to get any major points here? We've gone all over because I think we actually did hit most of the themes on this movie.
I've gone off my fucking nut. I don't even remember what I said.
No, I'm looking through my notes, and we actually, we did it weird and indirectly.
You know what we haven't talked about yet?
What's
which
that?
is insane, but also, it was insane when I watched the film and realised, robots? Like, I think about Metropolis, I think of, the robot.
Oh, it's a man machine, which should be a woman machine. Robot,
Right, but it's...
Robot was, I think it was invented, it was a Russian writer who did around this time. In the English-speaking world, it took Asimov 10 years later, I think.
Okay. So here's the thing. I've read iRobot, but it was a while back, I don't remember that well. Does iRobot feature any robots that look like humans?
Yes. I wrote about the short story, I don't know, but Asimov, he's got novels. He's got a robot
iRobot
series.
is like a collection of
so,
short stories.
They start off very inhuman. They slowly become more human. And in his later books, he's got robots that look completely human and actually have, like, mentalic skills.
Well, that's, it must, right, because Bicentennial Man is in Asimov.
Yeah.
So he obviously did. But this predates Asimov anyway, so it's a redundant point.
This is way before Asimov.
Is this the first mechanical man that looks like a human?
But really, this movie, all the occult stuff and all the old world stuff, it's halfway between Robot and Gollum.
Yeah,
No,
definitely.
not is Gollum?
Golem?
Not Gollum. That's Lord of the Rings. No, what's the term? It's
Golem. That is
Golem.
the word.
Golem. I'm just putting the.
Golem. I would pronounce it Golem were it not for Lord of the Rings is Golem.
Okay,
Like,
Golem. I mean, this is as much a golem as it is a.
right, but told through the visual medium of science rather than magic.
But it has as
Ish.
much. It's
Ish.
got. No, that's my point. The magic is equal.
Right. but
Rotwang is.
the visual design of the character, the machine man. I've forgotten the German from man.
Mensch.
Yeah, the Maschinenmensch is mechanical, right? It's
Yeah.
metal parts, and you can see where the joints are. So the idea is, this is a golem made by science.
You know what it really was. Sorry, finish your point for
It's
me.
Frankenstein's monster, but
Totally. I'd already
but my
compared the
point
labs.
is only like this is one of, if not the earliest version of humanoid machine taking people's place,
Yes.
and we haven't talked about it much yet.
No, that's probably because we just finished doing a Terminator.
Right, but that was the thing. Like, because like I said, I had until I watched it for this podcast, I hadn't seen this film since I was a child, so I didn't remember most of the plot or anything. Blah 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 blah.
See, I often go to sleep
I
at
remembered
night
some
listening to
very
CDs.
specific images. One of those was the robot, the machine.
Looks like C-3PO.
Well, it looks like every version of a robot on screen for the next 50 years.
Yeah.
So I didn't remember that they made it look human. But they did. And I was like, oh, it's a Terminator. It even gets burned up in a fire and you see the machine underneath at the end. Like,
Can I throw in just a few bits about the few tales of the actress in this case?
absolutely not. So this has been Matt and Luke's Sci-Fi Sanctuary. We're on Twitter.
So, I just want to say the costume, she actually was in the Machine Man. It was made out of like metallic looking wood and apparently gave her bruises and cuts and shit.
Oh, I'm not surprised. Yeah, no, I knew it was her the whole time.
And Fritz Lang insisted on using fire for burning the Robot Maria. That's okay, it's the Robot Maria burning. But that's the actress in the shot.
Right.
And he insisted on using real fire, and apparently her dress caught on fire.
Dope.
Yeah, and they had kids and extras like sitting. He intentionally had the water cold so they'd be uncomfortable filming the underwater flooding scenes.
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
Lang was a bit of a dick. Dick move.
Yeah.
So working on this film might have not been so awesome.
God, the more I hear about her, the more I'm in love with Bridget Helm.
You have to time travel on a glowing ball and appear naked in front of her through your time traveling glowing ball as in Terminator movies.
How did you know what I fantasized about last night?
So do you, Luke, think this new release will stand the test of time?
The fight scenes aren't great. This is a film from before fight choreography was a thing.
It's made up with all those models and effect shots.
I mean, obviously there were bits where like, oh, okay, that's a matte painting. But like just sets and shit.
They're great matte paintings too, though.
Like, this looks fucking good.
It still does.
This looks... No, that's what I mean. I didn't say this looked good. I said this looks good. This looks good in a way that, like, The Phantom Menace doesn't.
Yeah, that looks more dated, doesn't it?
Yeah, this film was aged better than that. Like...
more recent Time Machine certainly aged better than that. That looks like crap.
Really?
Yeah,
I watched that not that long ago.
I thought it looked like crap.
But it used a lot of, like, actors in suits and stuff.
I haven't seen it since it was new, so Metropolis still looks
Also,
good.
I watched it on, like, a laptop screen.
Yeah.
I bet it looked... A lot of... How many films are we going to cover on this podcast where I watch it on my laptop and it looks good and you watch it in HD?
Well, this looks good in any way, though.
Yeah, because
this
most
looked,
of what you see was in front of a camera.
This looked good when I was watching on blurry VHS, which seemed to be a print from someone that filmed a camera, like a screening of it. I mean,
Right.
It looked like hell.
Yeah.
Not the character hell, but the one with HE double hockey sticks.
So, we were talking about swear word between Britain and America. I still find it so funny that Americans think hell is a swear word.
Yeah, that's why it's cut, and then the Nazis cut it more. The real ones, not the That's why we had to watch a crap version of this so long. But it holds up so well. The story, I guess it was naive at the time. Is it more naive now? Is it less naive? Is it about the same? What do you think?
It's about the same, but I don't care.
Yeah,
like more people should watch this fucking film.
Sometimes
and then also smash the machines.
Sometimes you do need to be told very directly. You know.
Well, I mean, we talked about this last episode, right?
Yeah.
Like. Yes, sometimes a message can seem heavy-handed, but also some people need to be dealt with a heavy hand.
This is a button you can press very hard.
Yeah.
And they do.
Yeah. I mean, if you ever in your life meet a billionaire, like if tomorrow you meet, like, I've forgotten his name, what's the Facebook guy?
Mark Zuckerberg?
Yeah, him, but what's the Amazon guy?
Jeff Bezos?
Bezos, yeah. If you meet Zuckerberg or Bezos tomorrow, punch them in the face. Punch them as hard as you possibly can. Like, spread your legs, get a good stance, wind your hips up, pull your arm back, and punch them in the face. Like, punch them so hard their nose goes back into their skull and they die. That's
a murder
the official
punch.
message of this podcast.
That's a murder punch.
If you meet a billionaire or a Nazi, punch them in the face.
Murder punch them.
Yeah.
But don't kill it. Don't hurt anyone.
No, but don't hurt, like...
Use your mind powers.
Don't hurt, like, normal people, but
you know what?
punch Jeff Bezos to death.
But if you can, like, use your psychic power to psychically punch them.
No, but before you do it, delete us from your podcast feed. Unfollow us on Twitter.
Just forget you ever heard anything about us, and then take your
delete
punch.
us from your manifesto. Then punch Jeff Bezos to death.
Oh, okay. Any more?
Zuckerberg, Bezos.
Metropolis.
Trump, I mean, he's not actually a billionaire. Fuck him. All right, any more about the film?
I think we're good here. I mean, you can always... Here's the thing. You can write books about this film. You can do 87 more podcasts.
People have, right?
People have. We went on weird tangents ourselves, but...
Okay. What we haven't talked about. Did you enjoy sitting and watching this?
Yeah, I was kind of mumbling under you. I regularly put a CD player, I get the CD, put in some music I want to hear, like usually ambient or classical. I put this movie on and fall asleep watching it regularly.
Right. So I watched it for the podcast 1 or 2 nights ago. I have put scenes on since then.
There you go.
Like, it is a bit long.
It's really long.
In a way that I love...
I do fall asleep before the movie ends when I do this.
In a way, like, 3 of the 5 Transformers films are over 2.5 hours. And this drags about as much as them. But, like...
Moroder version, 83 minutes, man.
But the soundtrack.
Yeah, and you want...
Also, the weird colours. I don't like that.
No, you should watch the 2010 restoration.
Picture the machine man in your head. What colour is it?
Gold.
Oh, really? So I picture it silver.
Ah.
So I'm used to the black and white image.
I think C-3PO.
No, see, I see it as its own thing.
Okay.
Okay, I'll tell you what I think. I think Cyberman.
I can see that.
That's the British in me.
No, everything except for the... You see, you asked the wrong thing. Everything in this movie is in stark black and white with high contrast.
But the machine is gold.
Yeah.
I would watch that cut. Just goldify the machine. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Little Red in Rotwang's place just for the Satan.
Yeah. But no, like... For example, if, like, Shen was here right now, she wouldn't sit through this film with me, right?
Are you sure?
Yeah. But she doesn't watch a lot of film, right?
Right.
But if you're someone who does enjoy watching film, it holds together. It has a good plot. It has great characters. It has a phenomenal actress, like, playing both the lead hero and villain of this film. It's
just
good,
like Face Off, man.
It's good and watchable. It's as good as Face Off.
It's better than Face Off.
It's at least in the same league as Face Off.
There we go.
Yeah, that was a joke, man.
Yeah. But you probably need to spell that out for the listener.
Yeah, sometimes you don't want to be subtle. No, this is fucking good.
So if you've been listening to this and you haven't watched the film yet, thinking, I just want to hear about this film, you should watch it.
It's also, like, it's on, like, YouTube and stuff. It's out of copyright. You can watch it anytime you want.
There's some weird actual things about that, but that's not that
Is there not a version of, like, the 2.5 proper cut on YouTube?
I don't know. maybe. You can find enough of this film to at least like wet your whistle, and then
if you enjoy that, then you can.
You can watch a shorter cut and still like, and if you're like the story doesn't make sense, watch a longer one. It will.
Yeah, like you can get a taste. Right?
But okay, where do we find you?
I'm on Twitter.
Us.
Yeah, you should find us on
us,
Twitter.
us.
We're on Twitter at MLSFSPod. And also, however you're listening to this, like if it's on YouTube, give us a like. We're not on YouTube yet.
No.
Scratch that. But what? I don't want to create work for myself. Whatever podcasting app you're using to listen to this, make sure you like and subscribe, rate and review, blah, blah, blah.
5 stars.
Always, of course. The
Or
maximum
more.
number
Or
of stars.
more.
Maximum number of stars, because we're that good. And, go on Twitter, follow us at MLSFSPod. Go on Facebook, search for Matt and Luke's Sci-Fi Sanctuary. If you're listening, let us know. Just drop us a tweet or a message, say, yeah, I'm listening, it's alright. Because we don't have access to numbers.
If you get me late at night, I'll start ranting to you.
If you get Matt at any time of day, he will start ranting at you. I know. I work with this man. But then also, if you like us specifically, you can find me on Twitter at BuskerLily. It's a nonsense word. I do another podcast about Pokemon called Luke Loves Pokemon. And Matt creates music at the roamingsagemedia.bandcamp.com. Much of it inspired by old sci-fi films, but not really by Metropolis because it doesn't have such a sci-fi soundtrack.
No.
But what about the 80s cut? That was synthy, man, I bet.
That was... here's what I want to do. Kraftwerk, the German band, had it on their album, The Man Machine, had a track entitled Metropolis. So
okay.
There's that. I didn't make that. But
I have in the past liked Kraftwerk. I should listen to that.
Yeah, so I'm not putting it here because it's copyrighted, but, go find yourself some Kraftwerk Metropolis. Love Kills Freddie Mercury.
Maybe less so.
I think Bicycle Ride by Queen also uses Metropolis shots.
I'm not surprised.
Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation has some...
what's the Madonna one that uses
Express
Monarch?
yourself.
Yeah.
Hey. I already sang that to you, dude. Anyway, this has been Matt.
This has been Luke.
It's time for you to...
Get the fuck out of our sci-fi sanctuary.
Next week, Star Wars.
So Metropolis, does this movie have any themes?
I don't think so. It's just a fun adventure story, right?
Yeah, it's a fun adventure story.
This was before Hollywood started trying to push agendas. This was the good old days.
Nah, they were trying to push agendas from the beginning.
I was being facetious, Matthew.
But this isn't Hollywood, this is Germany. The by far largest budgeted 5 million Reichmarks film at the time.
Was it right? Were they calling them Reichmarks?
I think I said Deutschmarks earlier. And
Yeah,
then you
but
said
when I
Reichmarks.
looked on Wikipedia, I swear it said Reichsmarks.
He's checking.
I know that the Nazis didn't invent the word Reich, because it was the Third Reich.
Yeah.
So presumably,
Fourth one's in control now.
I want to look on the Wikipedia page for Metropolis, right? Do you know what I typed into Google?
What's that?
Wikipedia.
Well, that'll get you started.
Am I a fucking grandfather? Okay, Google.
Anyway, we don't even need to Google. Obviously, the film's main...
Reichsmarks. 5 million Reichsmarks.
Even in the 20s?
1925.
Okay.
was the currency from 1924 until 1948.
Why'd they call it that in 24?
Well, I mean, I'm genuinely not sure.
I gotta learn some more German history.
It was a replacement for the Papiermark.
The what?
A Papiermark.
Let me see it. Papiermark.
Papiermark.
Paper dollar.
Right, that's why I said papier.
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 Great, now I feel like I'm in Italy.
Papier, may I have more snacks?
Okay, the Reichsmark is the mediator?
It replaced the shilling in Austria.
They have shilling. When I went to. No, they have euros. When I went to Austria, they had shillings.
Huh.
That was the 90s.
I was hoping that I would live to see the day the UK had euros. I think that dream has died.
I don't know what's happening there.
No one does, my friend. Like, wow. I'm just very glad that I'm not there.
Yeah, I usually say the same thing about the States.
Yep. Huh. The Papiermark was not directly replaced by the Reichsmark, but by the Rentenmark.
So this movie cost some amount of money, which apparently was a fair amount of money.
But I know this isn't good interesting, but I genuinely want to know. And until I find out
Maybe
why...
we should start this one.